Good morning, welcome to Morning Outlook. This is Kim speaking on Monday, the 12th of July. So, just going to start off today looking at the risk events first. Let's just have a look at what risk we've got coming out. Well, all we've really got today is a 10-year bond auction, so that's at 6 p.m. this evening. So, there's very little else kicking in there. There's no real point whether there's anything lower grade in terms of impact. There's very little impact expected then from that 10-year bond auction. On the as I say 6:01 this evening, but we do have quite a I say a bit. We have three central banks this week. We've got the Reserve Bank of New Zealand on Wednesday, running into actually in the morning, early morning, and then we've got the Canadian Bank of Canada's statement, etc., meeting mid-afternoon there, and then we've got another one, the Bank of Japan, later in the week. The Bank of Japan, I don't think is going to create any surprises or do anything there, but certainly there'll be a lot of eyes on the comments, the statement that comes out with the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. But as I say, that's for Wednesday. But for now, it's a quiet day. So let's go over and look at the indices first, and what's been going on there. Well, not a lot by the looks of things. CSI 300 not really doing too much. Have we got today's date on there? It is the 12th, and it's done very little today. A little inside bar almost in terms of what it did on Friday. Very little price action. Pop to the upside. I still look at the market and question whether it has got much more upside. Firstly, not quite open yet, but well, Friday ended up on a doji there. A couple of doji sort of bars. It's ranging. It's sitting there. It's maybe got a breakout potential. DAX also. Well, just really needed to come. Oops, I've got a weekly view of this. Do apologise. I don't know why I'm looking at these on a weekly, but there we go. On a weekly view, I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of difference. The market, these equity markets are just really going sideward at the moment, and the DAX, well, it looks like it may have some potential breaking through that 15693 area. If we can break through that area, maybe a little bit push beyond a little bit, maybe we get some more oomph in there. Just come back and look at the FTSE on the daily. There we go. So that's where we ended on Friday. But last week, Doji Bar, there is that area sitting above their 7162, just to watch out for. US markets, S&Ps, well, it's popped a little to start this morning into new highs, but pushed down a little bit as I speak. Nasdaq, well, pushing up there, and the FTSE, FTSE, Dow Jones even, I get the right one in a moment. Dow Jones, well, looks like that's had a little pitch up there as well. Trying to break through these prior highs where it looks like it's fractionally closed either into them or slightly above them on the Dow Jones. Maybe some more positivity coming out of the equity markets later, which if we see the US markets driving up, we expect to see the dollar coming off a little bit. So let's have a look at it leading nicely into the currencies. Starting off looking at the euro dollar. Well, the euro dollar, it's had a couple of decent days. It's struggling a little bit this morning at the moment. Got its weekly pivot below, and that might just be what it's where it's heading at this moment. I'm looking to see if that bounces off there. We had a decent day Thursday and Fridays, actually both days they sort of moved up there quite solidly. Thursday, I'll discuss the trade I was looking at pre-market. It broke and triggered the trade, and off it pushed. It's on the live video if you missed it. The side of that at the moment, well, it's just edging here. It depends if it's going to pull down. If it pulls down to this weekly pivot, as I say, I'll be looking to see if it bounces off there. Otherwise, I'm looking to see if this reverses over the next bar. And if we can get a bit more reversal, I'll be looking for the upside again there on the euro. The pound. So pound, it put in a bullish looking swing sort of pattern there on for Friday's close there. Nice solid up bar, closing above its 21. Struggling though also, and we've got the weekly pivot below, so we could just see some sort of retracements back to these key pivot levels, the weekly pivot levels, and I've put the trend line across the top here. This is the line in the sand for the long side, but as I say, these markets just look like they've got maybe a little bit more to roll over yet. We'll see how those develop, but if they could turn around post 8 o'clock, I'm looking maybe at more upside. Solid old day on Friday, the UK market there. And we have seen, we've seen some half decent moves through the currencies at the moment. They haven't been quite as I expected them to be as we go into that sort of summer season, and we've got plenty of things this week to move the markets as well. Looking at the dollar yen, bullish harami sort of pattern sitting in there on the bars there, break of Friday's high, and well, this above this weekly pivot may see the dollar yen pushing up further. Dollar yen, it's a bit of an odd one because we've had this risk on, risk off, and I'd probably step aside of it. It could be that we see the euro, the pound, etc. all rally, and the euro and the yen rally as well. So I want to say euro yen because that's what I prefer trading a lot of the time, but we'll see that rally as well. Aussie dollar, well, sound outside bar there on Friday there, but today we're just not managing to do too much more with that at this stage. And again, we're just seeing this sort of dollar strength as I go to recording this video. Quite a bit can change after 8 o'clock. These are quite small retracements in the bigger scale of things. However, with the Aussie dollar with the lower highs, lower lows, if these do start rolling over, maybe currencies like the Aussie would take a bigger hit there. New Zealand dollar, be wary because we've got the same picture as the Aussie largely, but we've got the Reserve Bank of New Zealand coming out on Wednesday there, so just be a bit wary. But same sort of picture here, softer, and these with the commodity currencies have been a bit softer, and we could just see a bit more of a sell go through. Canadian dollar, just come up to the dailies for a moment. The Canadian dollar, and again, sort of maybe a bit of a turnaround coming through there, but it really needs to start it needs to continue where it left off on Friday. At the moment, it's just sort of bouncing around its weekly pivot there. A break below that level, just looking, would for me suggest a continuation, a lower high, and a continuation to the downside. But at the moment, it's bouncing, and I'll step aside, or maybe even look on the long side at some point this morning. Right, that's that. Let's look at the commodity currencies. Quick look. I keep on talking about the euro yen. Let's just catch a look at the euro yen here. So it did start swinging around on Friday a little bit there, but it has actually just run into its daily 8. Thing is here, if it can break above the prior highs there, 130.90, then with a higher low coming through, I'd be looking at that with some potential further upside. But for now, patience needed. Right, that's the main currency pairs. Let's have a look. We've done the S&Ps, etc. Let's just look at commodities for a moment. So gold started doing pretty well last week overall. It did pick up. We're seeing it off this morning. Friday held on to the gains, but as I say, this morning it's off a little bit. I'm still erring towards the bearish side on gold. Only purely it's quite cyclical. It often drops off, and I'm just looking at these bars and thinking, well, maybe it's got more of a retrace. But if the dollar's seriously going to roll over today again, then in which case it will help gold, and we'll see the price of gold probably pushing up again. But really don't like the price action on hardly any time frame. My thoughts are that it might roll back over. Yes, there was a divergence back here, but it may have worked that off now. Okay, that's gold. Oil. So oil, we saw a bit more of a recovery on oil on Friday there, but selling this morning at this stage. So we're seeing the same sort of picture with the currencies and commodities at the moment against the dollar, but just finding a bit of support into that weekly pivot. Perhaps it might just hold in around that sort of area. Daily pivot's fractionally lower. At the moment, there's a nice trend line across the highs here, which would be quite nice later on for me if it was to break that sort of area for the upside. Okay, and when I say later on, my preference is trade after 2 o'clock on the Western Texas. Right, that's that. And finally, what else? Cryptos, of course. How dare I forget? So finally finishing off with cryptos. Let's just bring this chart back into play. Have a look at the crypto market, and well, consolidation is just carrying on ruling here on the dailies here of the Bitcoin. It did get a bit of a pickup over the weekend, fractionally sold off Saturday, bought back Monday. Are we going to see sellers coming back in? It almost sort of happens. We'll get one way during the weekend, the other way on the Monday. But let's see what happens. At the moment, it's just earning its way up. It had broken that original trend, but really, when you look at things here, it's in a bit of a horizontal sort of. We've got a bit of horizontal support, maybe slightly lower there at 31.53 and more significant, and well, resistance sitting back into these prior highs and lows are about the 35,600 area. But at the moment, yes, say consolidation. Ethereum very consolidated on the dailies here. As I often say, it's one of my favourite of the cryptos there often, but just not going anywhere at this stage. And Ripple, same. So all those markets not particularly looking or performing wonderfully well at this stage. The more it consolidates around the low, the more these consolidate. Well, as I said on Friday, they're not particularly rounding bottoms. If there was more of a curved rounding bottom, maybe a more chance. Ripple may just, as when the lawsuits go through, etc., or are finished, may get a bigger pitch, but I think that's a bit of time off yet. Okay, that's it for me. I wish you a great day's trading, and what target would be on the euro yen if it starts picking to the upside, Paul? Well, from a daily perspective, if it can pick up on the upside, I would be looking towards its R1 if you're day trading it. It could have you've got the 4 hourly 50 etc. above there. I know it's not very far at the moment. I'm sort of looking at this as sort of 1 day at a time. Then you've got the 100 etc. But in the shorter time frame, I say shorter time frame, from a day trading perspective, that 50 may just give us resistance, or it has been tested before. Alternatively, we could be measuring the flagpole effectively of what is a bit of a flag, and sort of applying it, and it's going to give you somewhere up to that sort of 130, 165 area, probably somewhere up in that region. Maybe the weekly pivots looks okay at 131.855, but they're the sort of areas we could see if it starts pushing up through the week a little bit more. It certainly had a good move on Friday, and as I said, we could be seeing a bit more as we go through this week. Okay, that's it for me. I wish you a great day, and I'll be back in the morning. Bye for now.